What's going on, everyone? My name is Deltah and welcome back to another Division 2 video. Today I want to address the issue of burnout and getting bored in the Division 2, as can be the case with a lot of live service video games. So if that sounds interesting to you, make sure to stick around, drop me a like, and let me know what you think down in the comment section below. And of course, subscribe for more Division 2 content, as it always helps me out. Alrighty, let's just get right into it. Just peeling off the band-aid right now, the biggest thing that harms the Division 2 in terms of its replayability is the lack of innovation into its core systems. The goal of a good video game is to trick the player into thinking that they're doing different things when essentially they're doing the exact same thing over and over again, in an effort to keep the player playing for as long as possible. As a video game developer, the longer that you keep the player base playing and engaging in the game, the more monetization you can expose them to. This is a core function of the live service business model in video games and part of the reason why they're so successful today. Considering the Division 2, there are a few core systems that are designed to really engage players on a day-to-day basis. You could even call them the core playlists, so to speak. These core playlists for the Division 2 are Conflict, the Dark Zone, and the entirety of the PvE related modes within the Division 2, such as Countdown, Descent, Summit, and all of the missions, including the weekly invasions. These would be considered the core playlists in the Division 2. Aside from that, we have seasonal content. This is where the premium reward track comes in, the new seasonal story, new weapons, and of course, new cosmetics and monetization options.
Hello, I like money.
What inspired you to build a second Krusty Krab right next door to the original?
Money.
Through the form of cosmetics and apparel events. These are the items that Ubisoft puts in front of us as limited time paid content. Now mind you, I should clarify, I really don't think that the Division 2's monetization structure is really that aggressive. It's actually quite tame as opposed to some others, but considering the lack of updates to the core systems within the Division 2 and the fact that we get new seasonal content every couple of months, one is left to wonder where that development time is going. That development time is going towards the monetizable content that they put in front of us. And to be honest, the neglect to other parts of the game really do show. And this is what happens as a result of playing a game that has very little to no innovation in a lot of the core systems, particularly in PvP, and in a lot of cases in PvE as well. The Kenley College mission comes to mind as a PvE area that's seen very little activity since it was released, and players have essentially no reason to even go and visit there, so it just sits dormant. This lack of innovation into a lot of the core systems is a driving factor for why Massive and Ubisoft decide to time gate the seasonal manhunt missions. I really do think the shakeup into the actual seasonal missions themselves, where you have to save targets instead of going and killing them, is a pretty unique idea, and one that I really hope is applied to a lot of the other core systems within the Division 2. If you remember all the way back when the Division 2 launched and you finally finished the campaign, but then the map became invaded again, and when you had to redo those missions, they flipped the spawns on you and you were essentially doing a new mission without even realizing it. So Massive clearly understands how to use their resources to create unique player experiences in a concise and interesting way. My question is, why can't we apply this same philosophy to the Dark Zone, for example, or for Conflict? The change to Conflict, where you now gain SHD levels, is a phenomenal change, and it keeps the idea of progression going even in PvP, where for the last 5 years you didn't even have that. The change that made Dark Zone landmarks reward a massive amount of SHD level experience was a really good change. This is yet another example of how Massive has made the PvP experience, or I guess the Dark Zone experience, just a little bit better, making players feel more rewarded for their time. As the Division 2 starts to regain its popularity, more and more changes just like this need to happen. Perhaps you can establish a correlation between Massive's renewed focus on upgrading their core systems and the game's popularity, and if you do that, you could reasonably infer that there's a causal link between Massive's increased focus on making the most rewarding game possible and their popularity and the game's current success. And when you think about it, more people playing the game means more people exposed to monetization, which is essentially what you want. This is why Ubisoft is lowering the barrier to entry to games such as The Division Heartland, Resurgence, and other free-to-play titles, because it gives more players the opportunity to be exposed to their monetization strategy. But if you neglect your core systems such as your PvP and your PvE, if both of those suck and the only thing that you're really caring about is your seasonal content strategy, the one that gets you paid essentially, honestly. People are going to get burned out quick and they're going to get bored. So it's all well and good to have seasonal content because you want people to come back season over season to keep paying for that content. But what happens when you're done with it? What happens when you finish the seasonal story? What happens in the player base when you reach level 100 in the season pass and you're no longer really progressing anymore, and you have to wait to pay for the new season to get all of the rewards? This is where the player base's fatigue sets in. This is where they stop playing the game, and more importantly for Massive, this is where they stop paying. But really, it is an easily avoided issue. And as a video game developer, if you invest into the core systems, the most important parts of your game in terms of player retention, then you shouldn't have an issue. So what changes and or additions to the Division 2 would you like to see? Massive already knows how to refresh content, so sound off in the comment section below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. I think that's gonna do it for me here, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed the video and subscribe for more Division 2 content. I, of course, have been your friendly neighborhood Delta, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.